A lot of people I speak to who are starting out think, oh, I'm just going to run ads to my Amazon listing, or I'm just going to run ads to my website. I mean, sure, but why?
Okay, we're back today. Myself and Ryan, we put together a amazing presentation today on the topic of mastering metapixel and audience strategy. And before we open up the presentation, what do you expect to understand by the time we're done with this?
I hope that you can understand that you need to go into your platform having a strategy. All right. People think like, oh, I'm just going to go on Meta and I'm going to run an ad. I mean, okay, sure. But where's the ad going? What's the ad communicating? And is that message being carried across to the place where they land after, let's say, they click on your ad? Hopefully they're clicking. And what's the purpose, right? So, a lot of people I speak to who are starting out think, oh, I'm just going to run ads to my Amazon listing, or I'm just going to run ads to my website. I mean, sure, but why? So yeah, I hope that this gives you insight into why you would be doing these things.
Absolutely. It's right up there when I hear the strategy. I'm going to boost a post. I get I get very excited about that one as well. So let's go ahead and share the screen and go ahead and get started. So mastering metapixel and audience strategy. Cool.
All right. So, foundation of performance marketing. Metapixel and audience creation form the backbone of successful advertising on Facebook and Instagram. These tools aren't just about tracking, they're about understanding customer behavior at every touch point and using that intelligence to maximize your return on ad spend. So, when implemented correctly, the Metapixel transforms raw website data into actionable insights. It captures the complete customer journey from initial awareness to final purchase, enabling you to make data-driven decisions that improve campaign performance and reduce wasted ad spend.
Absolutely. And if you look at the picture to the right, you can see it's illustrating the top of funnel. And when we're talking about pixel, we're talking about people coming to your website. So it is very important that you track them going forward in their journey once they come to your website. And that's what we're going to be going over today. I'll just hit these 4 points. So strategic objectives: enhance conversion tracking, accurately measuring your website ad performance across the entire customer journey, optimize ad delivery, use the pixel to target the most relevant users with precision, build strategic audiences, create custom and lookalike audiences that consistently drive performance. I think that particular objective right there is probably the most common in many strategies, and it's something that I think it's kind of the tip of the spear is the actual data itself, which is your customers. Improve above it budget efficiency, focus spend on users with the highest intent and lifetime value. Awesome, all very good data. So now we're starting
So,
from the beginning. So we're going to start from the absolute beginning as if you knew nothing, and then we're going to get all the way to the good stuff.
so here we go. So where we are right now in the last few months with all the changes that have been made, you used to have to set up custom events every time you install a pixel. It would be code that you'd have to manually implement, verify, and test and validate. You can still go through these steps, but really Meta's made it super easy. Something called a Meta app in your apps section of your Shopify store. All you do is you install your app, you connect everything with admin permission. You have to be an admin on Meta, and you connect everything through the app. And this app literally sets this all up for you. Integrates 100% completely with your Shopify store. And it will sync your, which is a representation of your products, through the app onto Meta. And you can run catalog type ads on Meta. And yeah, you don't need to be worrying about testing and validating. However, you do still have the option of creating custom events if you've got a custom landing page and you only want a specific button to be clicked on a page, and that's the only thing you want to optimize for, right? So you can still do this inside of your events manager. You can still get into details like this, but to be completely honest, Meta's taken all the hard work out of it, and all you need to do is install the app and connect everything up with admin access, and you'll be able to do what you need to do on a very, very basic to medium level just by doing that.
That's amazing. I know that in my past experiences with Meta, it was anything but easy. So that is a
No,
good
it
improvement.
it's a massive improvement over the last few months. Zuck's doing his thing. All right, so standard events and custom events. This is kind of what we were talking about earlier. Standard events, page view. So track all website visits, view content, monitor product page views, add to cart, capture cart additions, initiate checkouts, and purchase. So all of these are standard events. Just by connecting the app, all of these events are going to be working. You can optimize for each one independently in a campaign that you create. Now, let's look at custom events. So if you want a lead form submission and contact request, all right, so this is a custom event. This is really for somebody who's looking for leads, people interested in their business, and not really for somebody wanting to make a purchase of a product. So it's not e-com related, it's lead gen related. Quiz or assessment completions. You can run quizzes if you really want to. It's kind of expensive. I don't advise going down that road. Video watch thresholds. All right. So this can be very useful. So people that have watched 50, 75, 95% of a video, you can then retarget them. So you can create an audience of people who have watched X amount of a video, which could be good because if someone's watched 100% of a video that you've made that's very informative and it's 5 minutes long, they were very interested in what you had to say or what you were showing them. So they're likely to be a lead or to purchase whatever you were talking about. Product comparison tool usage, it's really not very widely used, and account registration and profile completion, again, not very widely used. All right, so this is really where the magic happens, and you gotta go into your ads with a strategy, and this is part of it. So building high performance audiences. So you need to know what it is that you're going to be doing. What's the purpose of your ads? All right, your ad is to communicate to an audience and with a certain message, and that message is going to be followed through. So custom audiences, pixel data. So you build from actual website visitor behavior. These audiences allow you to retarget users based on specific actions. So you could have all website visitors from the last 30, 60, or 90 days. You could have cart abandoners who didn't complete a purchase, past purchases segmented by order value or product category, and users who viewed specific product collections. Another thing that's very important, okay, so let's just say you are constantly, typically e-commerce works this way, you're constantly running specials, some kind of new special. You would create an audience of website visitors, all time, or even just not just website visitors, all purchases for the last 180 days. And you would exclude people who have bought from you in the last 30 days. Why would you do this? Because you don't want to waste money trying to sell something to someone that they've just bought. All right. You want to be focused on people who haven't bought it in the last 30 days, who would be wanting to either repurchase or buy something different. But, somebody that's bought something from you in the last 30 days is not very likely to buy the same product or similar products from you again. So you would exclude the last 30-day purchases from any sort of current promotions that you're running. And if you've been running promotions for a while, you don't need to worry. Your audience is going to be more than big enough to handle excluding the last 30 days purchases. And it keeps it fresh for the people who visit your site. They don't want to log onto their social media platform and all they see is your ad all the time. They're eventually going to hate you. So it's a good idea to exclude your most recent purchases from your current ads.
Yeah.
Lookalike audiences.
Well, let's one
Sorry,
second,
Eric,
Ryan.
you
Let,
want
let me. I think it's good to give people, since this is probably the meat, I would say, of the pixel audiences and usages. So I just wanted to touch on the other one there, which was the abandoned cart. So sometimes you might do something where you basically did add to cart but exclude purchases, something to that effect, and you could target people that essentially were this close to making a purchase, and all they need is just a little bit more to put them over the edge, which could be a good opportunity for a coupon, like 10% off or something to that effect. And that typically can get some good results. And that's a good use case for that example there.
abandoned carts? I like to get more into email marketing when it comes to that. It's far more effective. But yes, you can do it. Cart abandoners on Meta, you can target them very specifically. I like to make it very dynamic and personal. That's why I like email marketing because it knows exactly and it can show them their product. Hey, you didn't buy this. But yes, Meta is effective in targeting abandoned carts. And then we've got lookalike audiences. Now, guys, this is a pretty touchy subject in Meta right now. Lookalike audiences, are they any good or are they history? So lookalike audiences, all right, they have their place when it comes to very specific targeting for top of funnel. What I like to do now with the Meta Andromeda update, for those of you who don't know what Andromeda is the latest algorithm update. They've changed everything. I will run an all purchaser audience plus 1% lookalike to a very specific top of funnel offer, which is usually a very strong offer to get somebody to come and entice them to try my product. I will then also run super broad audience to the same, with the same ads to the same landing page. Now, why are we doing this? Because the first one, we think we know who should be buying our product. The second one, we're saying to Meta, okay, you tell us who should be buying our product. And it's kind of crazy, but often the broad audience will outperform a lookalike of past purchases in the last sort of 3 months. It's a change that Meta's done. I don't know why they did it, but they did it, and that's a little bit of a tip for you guys: is go broad. I run them both in tandem, but it's worthwhile running a lookalike at 1% plus a broad audience at your top of funnel.
That's an interesting point because I do know that the lookalike was the bread and butter of strategies for a very long time.
Very long time. Look, I don't discount it. I still use it. We're definitely moving into new territory, and it's all got to do with Mark Zuckerberg wanting AI to run everything. So yeah, it's definitely something for everybody watching. If you're running Meta ads, run super broad and run lookalike at 1% in separate campaigns. Use your broad as a campaign budget optimization, and use your lookalike at ad set level budget optimization. That way you can really dial in your lookalikes, and you can let Meta do what it wants to do with your broad.
That's that's a great tip. One thing I will add that I think is very important is with the advent of commercial AI, I think that technology is changing much faster. And when I say faster, I mean not monthly, not weekly, I mean daily. I log into a platform that I literally spent 70 hours last week, and the login page is different the next day. So, like it's changing very fast. So, I will say that that's what's happening today. It's very possible that the solutions are in place and it could be resolved in a week. It could be, and it could get better. It could get worse. And so I think that the golden rule in ecom is test, test, test.
Yes, it is. You got it. All right, let's do the last one, engagement audiences. So target users have interacted with your brand on social platforms. So users who engage with your Facebook or Instagram content, guys, this still really works very well. People who viewed 75% of your video ads, Instagram profile visitors and story engagers, product catalog viewers who haven't purchased. Right there, if you just implement that very last bit, you will instantly make a change in your meta advertising. All right. Users who engage with your Facebook or Instagram content is huge. All right. And you can even split that up further. I like to split it up further. 7-day engagers, 14-day engagers, 30-day engagers.
I like that.
So yeah. So you've got a warm to sort of medium audience, and you can offer them specific offers depending on how long ago they engaged with you. Obviously, you want the people that are not as warm to get a stronger offer, and you want to give a lower offer to someone who's really engaging right now, because you don't need to offer them that much for them to give you their money. But somebody who's sort of engaged about 30 days ago and hasn't engaged since, you might need to offer them a little bit more to re-engage and to try a product. But yes, that engagement audience, that's still perfectly valid. I still use it across the board with multiple clients, and it's very strong.
So now we're digging in a little bit deeper. I like this, where we are going step by step in increasing the complexity and the advancedness of the strategy. So let's talk about the audience funnel architecture. So again, we talked about this many times. It is the backbone, basically the most fundamental concept that anybody should understand in e-commerce, which is the marketing funnel: awareness, consideration, conversion, retention. And why are these points so important? Well, because the strategy needs to be different at each point of the funnel. And so here, as it breaks down, awareness, which is basically letting people know that you sell a product that solves a problem, which, as you can see here, the goal, reach new potential customers. So, for example, brand story video ad introducing your value proposition. Awesome. Audience type, broad targeting, lookalike audience. What do you think about that? Would you are those the audience types in the example that you would implement on the awareness level?
Yeah, I would do a lookalike plus one broad targeting. And one thing that I would do, example campaign, I would be more specific, introducing your value proposition. That has to be an extremely good value proposition. In other words, give stuff away if you can. Make him a really good offer. Awareness. These people don't know anything about you. All right. They're getting to know you. You've got to give them a reason to click. There's probably 1,000 other brands out there selling exactly what you're selling. Why should they click on your ad? All right. So really make it appealing. Really make it appealing. Give them a reason to click on your ad.
Let's do a real life example. I'm just going to pick a product. Let's say it's a product that sells an electrolyte. Uh, what kind of ad would you make that you think would be a good example as a good offer for this level, for this part of the stage?
I would give a 40% off for first time buyers only. And I would be talking to people about the pain points, why you want to be using electrolytes. People think, oh, well, you only drink electrolytes when it's hot. That's not necessarily true. So electrolytes happen to be something that helps you with brain fog. Halfway through the day, you can't concentrate. Well, you're probably dehydrated. Water is not going to hydrate you. You need more. So I'd be talking to the reasons for why people need to be drinking electrolytes more and giving them a very strong offer to try your brand for the very first time. Um, you could even entice them further by making a 40% off for the first time once off, or you could lock them in for 45% on a subscription model for the next 6 months. So they can only do it one time. The very first time they've tried you out, 45% off. They get delivered every month for the next 6 months. Your very first try. So yeah, it's all about enticing them to try you to get your product into their kitchen and using it.
Okay, well let's move down the funnel and let's see how this progresses. So we started off with a 40% off coupon, whether it's just a single purchase or a subscription. Now we're in the consideration. So here it says engage users, website visitors, educate and build trust through retargeting, carousel ads. What would be your next ad in this example if we were to do consideration?
So I would do exactly what they're saying, testimonials and product benefits. So testimonials at this point is what's going to close the deal. Let's say they visited, they didn't buy, they didn't take advantage of your 40% off. You wouldn't necessarily be targeting them for this second campaign because why? They've purchased, so they don't fall within an engaged user, they fall within a purchaser, right? So you would, remember how I said before, exclude purchases for the past 30 days. Anyone who's purchased in the past 30 days would not be seeing these ads. So these guys saw this offer, they didn't have enough reason to buy. Now you're retargeting them and you're showing them testimonials, all right? You're also showing product benefits. For example, less headaches, absorbs better when you spray it, whatever the product might be, right? It absorbs better when you spray it on rather than taking a tablet. Whatever the deal is, you put your scientific evidence of why what you're selling them really works, and you're putting testimonials of real clients that have given a review, and you put it up on a nice background, highlight the product, give it 5 stars, so people can say, okay, this is real, this really works.
Absolutely, and I think that when you're picking those reviews, you should make sure that you read them, and not every review is exactly the same. Some are more interesting, add more value. You don't want it to be too lengthy. You don't want it to be too short. And you want it just to be the right kind of thing that would, if you were to see it, you would convert. And so basically where we're at is somebody has clicked on our ad, they came to our site and they did not purchase. And now we're retargeting them saying, hey, our product is awesome. And this is what people said. And this is why you should buy again. Okay, so let's continue down. Now we're at conversion. So this is add to cart, abandoned carts. We're going for the kill. Dynamic product ads with limited time discount offers. So now what do we do in our ad sequence here?
So ad sequence here will definitely be discounts. It'll be a reason to buy. You're giving them an offer. They've gone through, they saw your first ad with your 40% off, they may or may not have even realized that that was 40% off. Now they've seen all the reasons why the people are buying. Now you're giving them a reason to buy. All right. So what I like to do here, I would not look at so they're retargeting add to cart or checkout abandoners. I would look at all engages in the past 7, 14, and 30 days broken up. And then I would be giving them specific offers depending on where they are in that funnel. And at that point, I would be varying the offer according to each audience type.
I like that. I think that the sophistication of strategy on Facebook has evolved immensely.
Yeah. I mean, look, Facebook is by far one of the strongest top of funnel drivers that you can control, right? You can still control a lot of it. Um, and if you really get sophisticated in your offers, if you really get sophisticated in your audiences, it's still very beneficial. Now, if you use Facebook on its own, you're going to be missing out. You want Google too. Google is your net that catches all the people that didn't want to take a buy through Facebook. They're going to search you on Google. You need the two together. They're married. And I touched on it briefly earlier. You do want emails too, because emails help you re-engage dynamically, and it helps you very personally talk to your audience. So, when I look at a client coming on board, I don't do singular platforms. I will do email, Facebook, and Google ads at a bare minimum. Often at that point, I'm throwing in website optimization too, because every time these people are visiting your site, you get information. Is the page converting? Which page is converting the best? Which offer is working the best? And you can optimize those pages even further to convert even better. So it's very important that you're able to provide all of these services, or you're able to be aware that all of these things need to be done at the very same time to increase your conversion rate.
That's a very interesting point. It's become a game where it's not about doing one thing well. It's a game of and so you have to do almost so many different things at scale to even compete in today's market, which is very interesting. So let's say, so you were speaking about engagement and different audiences and going for the kill at this point. Let's move to the next one, which is retention, past purchasers. We're talking about upsells, cross sells, loyalty, exclusive product bundles. What's your play on this particular phase?
This particular phase it'll be a combination of Meta, Google, and emails. Honestly, emails at this point shine. Meta does come through, and you should be getting your strongest ROAS at this point. You should be getting 2.5 to 4 ROAS on a very good offer to existing customers. You would be uploading customer lists, and you would be speaking to them very specifically about very specific offers. At this point, your emails should be bringing in 50% of your monthly income. If your emails are not bringing in 50% of your monthly income, you don't have this dialed in. You aren't re-engaging your current customers enough. You aren't giving them enough reason to keep giving you money. If they've already given you money and you've got anything that's halfway decent, they will be buying from you again. So, yeah, at this point, it's all about customer lists. It is about creating very exclusive deals for them, talking to them like you care about them because they are exclusive. And yeah.
Yeah, I think I've even heard the email referred to as the honeypot. Just to give a plug or a shout out to a software, the one that I always like is Klaviyo. Which one is the one that you are recommending these days?
Klaviyo for sure. I mean, there are a bunch out there, but Klaviyo for sure is my favorite go-to. It just simplifies everything. The integrations into Shopify is so good. It's also integrating into WooCommerce now pretty well. So yeah, Klaviyo is my go-to.
That's great. Yeah, I honestly I think that this day and age using WordPress, honestly, I feel like it's a no-brainer to use Shopify. At this day and age with technology, you want things to just work, and I don't want to hear that there's a fix for this. I don't even want to have that conversation because in today's age, you need to be focusing on strategy, not a patch for the latest bug. Okay, so now you've got your ads going, you got the your audience in the funnel, and you've got them kind of engaging, going through the various phases. And so now we're talking about optimization and ongoing maintenances. There's 4 points. It says here you should refresh your audiences regularly, update audience definitions for 30, 60 days to maintain relevance, remove stale segments and create new ones based on evolving customer behavior patterns. And I think this has a lot to do with when you were talking about the 7 to 14-day engagement and kind of and tracking your audience and breaking it into very specific time signatures so that you can control the message and tailor to that specific audience.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't refresh. I wouldn't. I create dynamic, so it's automatically dynamically updating to only be the last 7 days. Tomorrow will be one day further into the 7 days, and one segment would have dropped off. So I dynamically create these inside of Meta, inside of the ad sets, so that I don't have to do a maintenance of an audience like this. I think Meta runs better when it starts evolving itself and you allow it to dynamically evolve.
Awesome. Analyzing event data.
Again, this is not as important as it used to be. You can look at this, but optimizing on an event level is not nearly as important as A/B testing your audiences, which is sort of the next one down. And your audience that you would be A/B testing currently would be your lookalike 1% and your broad audiences. You would be definitely doing A/B tests from those two. You could also have intent audiences that you're purchasing. All right. It's possible to purchase intent audiences. And you would be also then split testing that third segment as well. So you'd be split testing a lookalike at 1%, a broad audience, and an intent-based purchased audience to see which of those performs better with what messaging in your ads.
Okay, measuring success key KPIs. We've got 4 here that let's take a look at them. We got cost per acquisition, ROAS, return on ad spend, conversion rate, overlap, audience quality metrics. How do you use these KPIs, and which ones would you say are the most important that you focus on?
It's so funny, it depends on what stage of the funnel. Obviously, if I'm talking to past purchases, I'm expecting the ROAS to be, like I said, between 2.5 and 4. If I'm talking to brand new audiences, broad audiences, giving them some kind of deal, I'm okay with sitting at a 1 ROAS or even slightly lower than a 1 ROAS, because I know my middle of funnel is going to be retargeting these guys if they're visiting and they're not buying, right? So I just really want engagement at that point. Um, so, it really depends on what stage of the funnel as to which metric makes the most sense. Overall, ROAS is obviously important. On Meta, you are okay with sitting at a 1.5 average. All right. I'm just letting you know you are okay with that, because even though they aren't buying from your clicks on Meta, they are still searching you and finding you on Google and buying you through Google. Meta does all the hard work. It gets very little recognition. Trust the process. This is how it works.
Awesome. Yeah, one thing I would just add to that is the higher up on the funnel, the conversion is less as important, as
Yes.
the goal of the advertising is not conversion itself, it is awareness. So do keep that in mind when making your strategy. And that's why it's important to work with people that do this for a living, that know what they're doing, because you can spend a lot of money very quick. I will say that Zuckerberg is definitely not a nonprofit individual. He is making money by the fistful. So trust me, if you tell it to spend $20 a day, it'll spend $20 a day. If you say to spend 100, it will spend 100. It's capitalism at its finest. So it's very important, advertising, especially that you have somebody that knows what they're doing, because it is the fastest way to lose money on any platform.
So, tools and resources. Meta Events Manager, yes, important. I'd say even more important at this point of the game is audience. Then, of course, you've got your ads manager. That's where all the action happens. And then you've got your business suite, which is where you assign who has permissions to what with regards to your business. Guys, I can't tell you how important it is to keep your security in on this. I have seen businesses fold because they were hacked. It's so important to keep your security in on this.
Well, speaking of security, tell me an example of what somebody did. What was the mistake that they made? And then what would be the best practice that you should do to make sure that to safeguard your account?
Biggest mistake I've seen made is Meta account got shut down because a past employee got hacked on their personal email through their personal Meta. They had access to somebody's Meta Business Suite, and those people got hold of the Meta Business Suite. They kicked everybody else off because they had super admin access, so they could.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just it basically they just didn't have their admin in, and so this person was no longer an employee. They weren't upset with the client or any reason, but they got hacked. They still had all this access, and they basically removed the client from their own business, ran up their own cards, and not only that, they now had an account that they used to run to all these scam sites. So they paid for it themselves. But the problem with these scam sites is that they need fresh ad accounts to be able to continue running traffic. So they didn't care that they were ruining this other company's business. They just wanted an account that they could run ads through.
Wow, that is terrible. Based on what you said, the first call out that I would recommend to anybody, this doesn't matter what platform you are on. There is no reason to make anybody an admin. So on Amazon, on TikTok, on Walmart, on Facebook, on any platform, you can make a sub account and you can make sure that you dictate what they have access to, and they should never have access to remove you from an account. And the way that that's done is by using a sub account. Admin accounts should be very well thought through, and I would say maybe not even given at all, in my opinion, to people that are on a low level employee, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Also, yeah, you also need to clean house. Right? When you fire somebody, you got to fire them, and that means, or let them go. You got to let their permissions go as well. What was the recommendation to that you would recommend? Two-factor authentication, making sure that you don't give anybody admin access. Any other things that wasn't touched on?
Those two are pretty good. If you've got those two in, you should be fairly safe.
Yeah.
You should be fairly safe if that's what you got running for yourself. Yeah, I mean, meta is still super, super, super important in any funnel. It hasn't disappeared. It's probably more relevant now than ever. I know that the younger demographics don't use it as much as the older, but there's still Instagram. Instagram is huge. All age demographics are using Instagram, and Meta, sort of Facebook and Instagram ads are one and the same.
One thing I would add to this that I was just Googling while you were talking is the average daily time people spend on Facebook is roughly 30 to 33 minutes globally per day, which is crazy amount of time. And I know that I also fall into that criteria. I hate to say it, but I probably spend 30 minutes as well. But then that's why it's important to be hitting multiple platforms. So depending upon the demographic, they might be more on TikTok, they might be more on Meta, they might be on both. They're definitely searching on Google. Ads are starting to show up now in ChatGPT. You got to be everywhere, and you need to know what your customer is doing and make sure that you have a strategy and make sure your ad is being seen by your customer at the right point in their journey. Awesome. Well, I think this is a good place to end off. Thank you very much for adding your expertise. Ryan is a 10-year veteran in the space, and I know that he's worked with many 7, 8, possibly even 9-figure brands, helping them grow. So if you need help and you want to jump on a strategy call, the link will be in the description. Thank you very much for your time, Ryan.
No problem, Eric. Thank you. And I hope everyone that listened to this got something out of it. And if you need help, reach out to us. We can help you.
Thank you for watching. I am a team lead at Bullseye Sellers. I've been in the Amazon and TikTok space for over 10 years, and I've worked with over 100 brands, helping them generate over 100 million in sales. On this channel, I'm going to share real strategies and growth hacks to help you scale your Amazon brand and TikTok shop. If you would like help, please book a free strategy call with our team. A calendar link will be in the description. As well as, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.